Hey guys, it's me Chan again. So today's video we will do the guide itself for Chasca. So as usual in here, I will cover about the kit overview, explain how she works, including the material that she needs, the build, is she good or not, and everything I know about her. So yeah, let's get started. So as usual, we will read the first sentence so we kinda know what the developers want to do with Chasca. So in here they say Chasca is an animal damage dealer who excel aerial combat and can deal multiple type element damage. So basically in short, like animal DPS that mostly like in the air itself that dealing multiple types of different elemental damage. So it's not only animal, so quite interesting, right? And for the material for Chasca, this is all that she need. And as usual, I will just show everything, the total material for you to max out for Chasca. And usual, always thank you to Devil Takoyaki to provide this. And let's move to the kit itself. So this is one of the main core. So let's start first with the normal attack. Basically normal attack, nothing really special in here, and just like default charge attack, nothing really special. Now let's talk about her main gimmick, which is elemental skill. So in here, technically this is her Night Soul riding the gun. She has couple different stuff that she can do. So first, this one basically when you press skill or E, just tap like normal attack and she will just constantly dealing this animal damage, like keep shooting to the enemy. Nothing really special actually. You can actually just ignore this because we rarely will use this also. And now let's move into her combat style too, which is this is what the most we want to use. So basically in here when you press skill, then you just hold your normal attack, and this is basically her charge attack itself, so you can pay attention. She can has this bullet up to 6, it called Shadow Hunt cells. So basically in here Chasca will fly and you can aim to the enemy. And if you pay attention, she can generate different type of element, just be not just like only animal itself. So basically in here, how it can happen, it's just because depend on your elemental types in your party. So if you have like let's say different type of element in your party besides just animal, it will convert like into different type of element of the bullet, so it's not only animal. So to be precise to explain this, so let's take a look in here. So basically Chasca can have 4 bullets out of 6 bullets that have converted into different elements. So 2 of them will for sure will be animal, and 4 of them it can be different depend on your element type of your other teammate itself. So the one that Chasca can only match, which is pyro, hydro, cryo, and electro. So if you put let's say like another animal or geo, it will not convert that. So yeah, it's quite restricted, so you only have to pair with these 4 different elements. Further details regarding this bullet elemental conversion is that it's not actually that straightforward because there's a couple requirements that you need to pay attention in order to maximize her kit. So basically her third bullet itself is triggered by chances or randomness, which is you need to pay attention. If you read in here, each elemental type with at 33%, 60%, and even 100% to trigger this conversion into elemental bullet. That's for her third bullet itself. So basically in here, it means that each element that you put in your party, let's say you put like Chasca, Furina, Fischl, and Bennett, that means we have 3 different elemental type, right? Hydro, Pyro, and Electro. That means you will trigger 100% chance for you to get the elemental conversion bullet. However, if you put only like 2 different elemental type, let's say you put Chasca, Xiangling, Bennett, and Furina, it's only 66%, and it will not convert into elemental if you don't get lucky. So quite annoying, right? And in here, if you don't get this elemental conversion bullet and only get the animal, it's quite like reducing your DPS, because if you read again in passive in here, each of the conversion bullet itself will increase the damage. So this one that only 1 type, this is 2 type, and this is 3 different element type. See, the difference is huge. So basically if you only put let's say like 1 different element type, let's say like Chasca, Deya, Xiangling, and Bennett, you will not get so much damage increase. You will not utilize basically her damage and she will lose DPS. So yeah, in here you should pay attention too. As for her 4th, 5th, and 6th bullet itself, in order to trigger the elemental conversion, it's basically quite easy. It's always 100% as long you put depends on what element on her team. So let's say in your team you put let's say Chasca, Xiangling, Bennett, and Furina, then it will 100% convert from 5th to 5th and 6th element. It's random actually, you cannot choose which one you like, but it will go between like of course Hydro and Pyro, because you put like Furina, Xiangling, and Bennett, right? So it's Hydro and Pyro in your team, so they will like randomly selected 4, 5, 6 between combination in here. So it can be like 2 Hydro and 1 Pyro, or even 2 Pyro, 1 Hydro, something like that. So that's regarding her elemental skill. I hope you understand. It's quite complicated if you want to hear regarding the bullet generation itself. But in very short, like TLDR regarding her bullet. So basically her bullet, in order for you to get this conversion, it's very depends on what your teammate. So remember, your teammate have to include these 4 elements in order to get the conversion. If you put anemo or geo, it will not work. And the bullet conversion can only go like up to 4. So the first 2 will always anemo. So in here, in order for you to increase the chance, of course, like the third bullet itself, if you want to get the conversion, you need 3 different elements like party. So you need like 3 from these 4 for you to trigger 100%. So if you only put like 2 pyro and 1 hydro in your team, then it's only 66%. So it's not 100%. So if you want to utilize 100%, you need 3 from these 4. And run 4, 5, 6 is basically just pure random from what element that you put in your team. Let's say you put, let's say, pyro, hydro, and electro, and it will random from these 3 for the 4 and 5, 6 bullets. So that's basically it. You can take a look here, right? This is 4, see, just basically random. You cannot choose what that you want. And additional info regarding her passive, which is basically same like other character like Kinich or even Mualani. If your other party trigger Nightsoul Burst, it will buff even more her charge attack from elemental skills up, or like her Nightsoul gimmick itself will dealing more damage. And as for her elemental burst, it's basically just AoE anemo damage along with the 6 Soul Seeker shells or another like 6 bullet directly shot to the enemy. And these 6 bullets will have the elemental conversion. And for the elemental type, it's actually just the same. Depends on what you put in your party, then it will convert into the elemental bullets itself. So if you take a look in here, see, bang, anemo along with like whatever mixture different element, depends on what you put in your party. Just very straightforward. And of course, because Natlan is always regarding adventure, in here of course you can take a look. Chasca can just fly and even can sprint even to make it faster along. Basically just Scarab but more fancy. So yeah, that's it regarding Chasca Kit. Overall, her kit is quite interesting. Because usually like if we talk like anemo DPS like Shower, Scarab, we mostly dealing with anemo damage, but Chasca is kind of mixed and even can convert into a different elemental damage, which is quite unique. However, if we just talk about gameplay, she is very branded, literally same like Nivelet branded class like that. You only need to press skill and hold your basic attack to trigger charge attack when you reload like until 6 and bang, and keep repeat that until it finish your skill. And if you have burst that trigger your burst, that's pretty much it. Very branded. And also like if we talk about Chasca, her team comp is very important because we kind of want to have different combination. If we can like 3 different element even difference, because it matters a lot in her damage. So that's my actually impression about her kits. However, if you really want like know how strong she is, it's hard if you don't see the numbers. So this is kind of info spoiler, but I believe right now they have early access, so I can just freely talk. So overall, Chasca is pretty solid, man, DPS. Even though maybe you say like, yeah, her design is not great. A lot of people say, yeah, skip. Especially we know like Malvika probably will come soon, because usually Archon come when the end of the Archon quest, and they already confirmed like 5.3 is the end of the Archon quest. So maybe Malvika will come there. So mostly people say like skip, she's not matter, she's not really great design. Yeah, you can say like that, but I mean here just to judge her kit or like how strong she is, she's actually pretty strong. Like basically quite solid DPS. At least as similar with other Natlan DPS, let's say like Kinich and Mualani. Yeah, she is around like that. And we know that Kinich and Mualani is relatively a solid DPS, and so does Chasca, pretty solid. Of course, if you want to compare like Nivelet are like, you know, a light up level, it's not there. But still, it's already solid main DPS. And the thing that I really like from Chasca is that because Chasca elemental skill is basically she's flying, so a couple of the enemy that always stay on the ground, they cannot reach it. So it's quite like fun that he's just never getting hit. However, in here I also want to mention there's a couple of the things that you should note or weakness from Chasca itself, which is for certain enemy. Using Chasca will not feel great, or at least Chasca will have some problem. One of the sample is that consecrated beast that looks like the bird itself, the Punix bird. That bird basically have the skydiving attack, and the AoE is so big, and when Chasca doing this charge attack, her movement is kinda limited and relatively slow. Because the AoE is so big, she easily can get hit. And the worst part is that even though Chasca already have resistant interruption increase while in the Night Soul, it still interrupt her. I don't know why that bird hit so hard with also like just destroy the resistant interruption from Chasca. So because of that, it's quite annoying to deal with that. So at the best, you need to dodge, but if you dodge, you lose your DPS. So you understand, right? You want to sacrifice DPS or getting hit. So yeah, that's quite annoying in there. And regarding her targeting, I heard some CC say like her multiple target or her AoE is not really great, so she is only in single target. I can say it's not like 100% true, because in the end of the day, her targeting like either single target or multiple targets very depends on situation and enemy. She only great if the enemy is nearby each other like this, or like they're not moved too much. If they move too much and separate between one another, that's the nightmare between Chasca, because she have to keep chasing them down and she cannot literally aiming everyone if they separate between each other. So it doesn't really matter single or multiple, as long they group or nearby between each other and didn't move too much. So that's why in single target is the most convenient, because you can just easily to chase them. Because if they have multiple and you have to go here and there, it's quite annoying. So that's the thing that I want to clarify. For the build, let's start first with the artifact set. So the best artifact sets in general for Chasca will be Obsidian Codex, because Obsidian Codex in general very good for main DPS that come from Netland. And of course, Chasca is main DPS and also from Netland, because 2-piece will give her damage increase, so it's pretty much good. And 4-piece is the one that we can say the big deal, because it gives you crit rate by 40%. So most of the case, we only need a little bit crit rate and just focus more in critical damage, and that's actually very good for Chasca. However, if you don't have this set yet, we still have another alternative, which is if you have, let's say, Furina, you can equip Hunter set, because it's still pretty much relatively good. Not as good, of course, as Obsidian Codex, but still pretty much like decent, because it gives you like charge attack damage that can beneficial for Chasca, and 4-piece will give you critical rate when your HP increase or decrease, but take notes only if you have Furina. But if you don't have like Hunter set, then you can still equip Wanderer's Troop. It's pretty much still nice, give you like Elemental Mastery, and 4-piece will buff the charge attack damage, so Chasca still benefit from this. And however, if you don't have this three, and maybe you have Cinder City, then this still can pretty much nice. It's not really that great, but it just work for the sake because it gives you elemental damage bonus. Some of the people maybe wonder how about like Viridius and Vanner. This one is still pretty much okay, but I can say it's just very depend which one that you swirl, so we can say it can be inconsistent. So I don't really recommend it. If you really want to deal with the inconsistency, then this is actually fine. But in my general, my preference, I will go with, of course, Obsidian Codex is the best. Then if you have Furina, just equip Hunter set. But if you don't have that, just go with this compi build, which is Wanderer Troop. For artifact main set, let's start first with the Sense. So for the Sense, just go with the attack percentage because she's attack scalar. For the Goblet, this time a little bit different. We go with the attack percentage because Chasca will dealing like different elemental damage, so just better with go with attack percentage. Yeah, we can say like some of the cases where if you pair, let's say like the party with Bennett and Xiangling, then pyro damage bonus can be better in some situation if the bullets like keep triggering the pyro itself. However, you have to dealing with inconsistency, so for me it's quite annoying, so I just prefer to go with the comfy build, which is just go with the attack percentage. And even then the difference is not that much, so for me it's just better to go with the attack percentage. And for the circle, as usual, if you need more crit rate, then go for crit rate. If you need more crit damage, then go for crit damage. But usual for Obsidian Codex, we want to go with the crit damage. For the substats, just straightforward, like main DPS, crit damage as a priority, energy charge and attack percentage can be good, and elemental mastery can be a secondary option. For the weapon, let's start first with the 5-star weapon. So for the 5-star weapon, the best one, of course, her signature, the Astral Fortune, whatever it is, it will match her kit. And second the best will be the first crit magic because it still gives you crit damage, so same like signature, and also will buff your charge attack, so that's pretty much nice. And also if you have Aqua Simulacra, they're also still nice, give you still crit damage and give you also like damage increase enemy nearby. Thunder Impulse still pretty much decent, it gives you critical damage and increase your attack, still pretty much nice. However, it's not as good as the other three, but still it's pretty much a decent option. If you wonder how about Amos Bow will be the last option if you don't have those weapons, just because yes, it's nice, it gives you attack, it buffs like charge attack, but sadly the last effect, it will not buff Chasca itself, so that's why it kind of makes the effect itself not really that great anymore because she cannot utilize the last effect. So this is pretty much like, it's fine, but it will not so much different even from the 4-star weapon, even craftable, not so much different. So yeah, this is only literally your last option that you don't want to craft the 4-star, then sure, you can go with this. And lastly, regarding Skyward Harp and Hunter's Pet, these two weapons is actually relatively pretty much like good for Chasca itself. However, if you equip, let's say like Obsidian Codex, it's very easy for you to overcap the crit rate itself. So because of that, it makes the value kind of goes down quite hard because considering you can overcap. However, if you consider you don't want to use like Obsidian Codex and you want to use others like sets, let's say like Wanderer's Troop, then yeah, this weapon is actually still pretty much nice, like Hunter's Pet and Skyward Harp. For the 4-star weapon, there's a couple options that you can go. The most comfy for free to play, which is Chainbreaker, because it gives you attack percentage, and also like depending on the party itself, it can give you literally increase of attack. Still pretty much nice also for Chasca, and including they will gain Elemental Mastery. So in general, this is a very comfy for free to play. However, the best option for 4-star is actually Song of Stillness, because it gives you attack percentage. However, it requires heal. So it best like in the scenario where you need constant heal, let's say like Furina teams and healer itself, then this one can be the best option for Chasca as well. So in short, I can say like if you pair with the Furina team, then the best weapon will be Song of Stillness for free to play. However, if let's say you don't have any ability to craft weapon anymore and only have Hamayumi, then this is still pretty much an okay option. Not as great as other two free to play options that I mentioned, but still pretty much okay because it gives you attack and still gives you buff for charge attack. However, to get this fully buff, it's quite hard because you need energy 100% and Chasca kinda you want to use the burst, so quite hard to maintain. But in the end, this is still okay. And if you, let's say, have the Warcliffe Warbow, it's still pretty much nice because give you critical damage, and assuming if you defeat the enemy, then this is still pretty much a nice weapon. And lastly, assuming you don't overcap your critical rate, then Scion of Blazing Suns, the one that from Battle Pass, if you can even make R5, this is still pretty much a nice option, because it will give you buff for your charge attack, so pretty good. As for Chasca Team Comp, she doesn't really have so much Team Comp right now, just because in order to utilize her fully kit, she requires like couple different elements in her team, so because of that, it's kinda like make her restrict in terms of team building. But maybe in the future, Malvika can make her more teams, so who knows, right? But as per right now, there's a couple of them. Let's start with this format. Just pretend Faruzan is Chasca, okay? So Chasca, official. Actually, if you have like Auron, especially C6 Auron, and you equip like Cinder City, artifact set actually can be upgraded compared to official, but in the end, official still pretty much a fine option too. And after that, like Furina and Bennett. So mostly we will play in here in Electro Charge. So yeah, it's still pretty much nice for Chasca. And other than that, nothing much different. This is like, we just change with Xiangling in here. So Chasca, Furina, Xiangling, and Bennett. Mostly we will play in Feb Price. Other than that, if you don't want to use Furina or you don't have Furina, maybe you have Shenhe, you can equip, because Shenhe also still pretty much can give buff in charge attack itself. Or even Lila, that can still pretty much nice for Chasca itself. So yeah, that's it regarding a guide for Chasca and impression. Overall, as I already say again, she is relatively a solid main DPS, as strong like another like Natlan DPS, Kinich Mualani, something like that. So you should not worry if you cannot carry using her. You will not have trouble to have her. It's just like, of course, her sentiment is not really that positive because not a lot of people like her design for some reason. A lot of like people say like, yeah, Malvika will coming soon, so better to skip something like that. So it's quite like unfortunate. But if you really like her, or you only like care about her power, then her power is basically pretty much solid DPS. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope the best of luck on your gacha pool, and if you like this video, feel free to hit the subscribe button and like, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.